All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll have some people still rolling in, both online and in person. My name is Matt Barlow. I'm a recreation supervisor for the city of Aurora. I work now out of the Southeast Recreation Center, so I'm the supervisor of the field house there. So I know a lot of you have been playing some indoor soccer this summer or maybe in the winter in our league there as well, which is another offering that we have. But yeah, thank you for coming. Welcome to our fall parent-coach meeting. Thank you for the coaches that are here and the coaches that are coaching. We are almost got all of our coaches. I think I've got one more 12U coach here tonight, and it was 12U, right? And then we're looking for one more 15 and under coach in the area of Northwest Aurora, a little bit to the west of here. So if you know anyone, or if anyone is on the call or in here tonight that wants to pick up a team and coach a 15 and under team, we still need one more coach, and then I think we'll be set. I think we do have, at this time, a fairly high, almost record number of participants. We're over 600 participants in our league. Group, I believe, is 8 and under, with over 160 kids in just that one age group. So yeah, let's get started and talk about our season. Again, thank you guys for coming. Those are some pictures, I think, mostly from the spring. We're going to talk about our staff, our philosophy, our roster formation, how that works, some dates, website and some forums, our rules, and some things for the coaches and how to help your coaches. So this is kind of the team that works with me and above me and under me. Todd is here tonight, standing out at the top. He's waving his hand, but he's through the door there. He's a recreation supervisor for sports as well. Derek Tripp is my supervisor. He's the recreation superintendent. It's his birthday, so he's out celebrating his birthday today. Amanda Akers works with me at the Southeast Rec Center. She's a recreation coordinator. She's ill. And then Marlinda was out there at the door on this side. If you came in that way, she's often out at the fields on Saturdays with me, and I plan to be out there most Saturdays as usual. As you can see on there, I'm a certified park and rec professional and a certified youth sports administrator through NAYS, which is the National Alliance for Youth Sports. We'll talk about that here in a minute. To brag about myself for a second, and to just let you know a little bit about me, I grew up playing all different sports, a lot of baseball, a lot of basketball. I did a lot of actually snow skiing, even though I grew up in Virginia. Tennis, golf, soccer, of course. Fell in love a little bit more with soccer in high school, late in high school, and played soccer in college many years and pounds ago. Then I did a lot of coaching of soccer through my 20s and 30s, but probably even now 30 years of coaching, over 50 seasons of coaching, all the way from like 4U rec stuff to high-level club to high-level high school, and even some college coaching as well. I have coaching licenses from the United States, very high-level coaching licenses from the United States. I have coaching licenses from Brazil, Holland, and England as well. I've been a certified referee for 26 years. I have a master's in sports management. I've traveled the world for soccer. I've taken teams to Italy. I've taken teams to Holland. I've been to World Cups in South Africa, Brazil, Germany, New Zealand, and Australia, as well as some here in the U.S. So that is to say that I want to use all that knowledge to help you guys have a great season and have a great experience. I'm not perfect, and I don't know everything, and I learn something new every season, but I have some fair amount of experience in the realm of running leagues and soccer and coaching and reffing and those things. So I'm happy to discuss any soccer you like to talk about at any time, whether it's for your kids or MLS or European or Olympics, anything. So the philosophy for our league, we're a recreational league to allow participants to opportunity to play, allow social and emotional growth. And so let's talk about that. So I had a conversation with a coach recently who felt that these conflict with the fact that some teams don't win a lot of games. For me, winning and social and emotional growth or fun don't necessarily match up, if you will. There are going to be teams that win more than they lose, and there are going to be teams that lose more than they win. That is the nature of sport. In 4U, 6U, and 8U, we're not technically keeping score, although most kids are or are asking. And 9 times out of 10, they ask me, "Did we win, coach?" And did you have fun? And they say, "Yeah." And I said, "Then you won." And that's it. I'm not really worried about the wins and losses. So coaches and parents usually care more about the wins and losses than the kids do. I get it. It's no fun maybe to lose a game 10-0 or lose all your games by a lot of goals, but that could happen. It just depends. And we'll talk about rosters and why that happens sometimes and why it doesn't or whatever. Equal amount of playing time. We'll talk about that in more specifics as we get down to that. But that basically relies on everyone being committed to their team and being at practice. But we'll talk about that. And allowing children to have fun. It's about fun. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be balls kicked in the wrong goals, and especially at 4 and under and 6 and under. And just celebrate it. Like, don't worry too much about it, or you're going to drive yourself insane. If they score in their own goal, it's still a goal. And again, we're not really keeping score. So if you picked up one of these flyers at the top of the stairs, we have a care initiative where we talk about cheering, accepting, respecting, and encouraging. Just take a look at the flyer and read it. Hopefully it makes sense. We're trying not to coach our kids. We're trying to cheer. We're trying to accept mistakes. We're respecting opponents and officials in the game. The officials aren't going to be perfect either. We'll talk about that as well. And then we talked about NAES already. NAES is the National Alliance for Youth Sports, and that's the guidelines that we follow for things like not keeping score in 8U. They might even recommend we don't keep score in 10 and under, but let's be honest, we know people like to keep score. And what to do when it's not being followed. So if you feel like a parent on another team or a coach on the other team or whoever is not following these rules, if you will, come and find me. Don't go address them about it. It's not going to go well usually. Or don't try to be the louder one because they're loud and now I'm going to be louder and more obnoxious than they are. That's not the way we want to operate. If it's really a problem, come and find me, come and find Marlinda, and we'll come over and stand and listen and see if hopefully they're enjoying themselves. Obviously, that goes along the lines of this. We have a very diverse community in Aurora, which I think is great. So if we hear any, whether it's racial, religious, whatever, sexual orientation, you name it, derogatory statements, if the referee hears it, a staff hears it, there will be discipline for that. It does happen where it gets reported and we haven't heard it. We will follow up on that, of course, but it's harder when it hasn't been heard by an official or a staff member because if the person denies it, it's hard to know what exactly happened. The truth may lie somewhere in between, but anyway, say no to racism, say no to discrimination. Mandatory reporting. So coaches, make sure you read this slide. All coaches, volunteers, and so forth are mandatory reporters. So if you have a reason to suspect that a child has been subjected to abuse or neglect or so on, you need to report it. If you have an issue figuring out how to do that, then reach out to me. We just want to take care of the kids. And I think that there's even something coming through state law that may require yet another training for coaches starting next fall, July of 2025. But we'll, of course, keep you updated on that. We just want everyone to be aware. Roster formation. So that's what I've been working on like crazy for the past couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. Obviously, the registration's been open since May 1st, and I'm still getting people, oh, I just was gone for a week and now I'm back and I missed registration. Well, sort of. A lot of the age groups are full, and that's on basically down to the number of coaches that we have. If we could get, well, it's a fine line figuring out the balance of number of coaches and number of players. I look at coach requests first. That trumps pretty much everything. And I try to get you on your coach's team, especially if you register before the deadline. If you register after the deadline or you're pulled in off the wait list, I cannot guarantee that. Friend requests, same thing. But it's also difficult. You would be surprised at the things that I see when I see the friend requests. I see, it'll just say Jim or, John. I'm like, I can't look through 66 kids to find out which John, or email every single person that puts something like that to find out who John is and wait 2 days for a reply. Or I want to be on the same team as the same players that I played with 2 seasons ago or whatever. And it's like, I can't. I'm sorry. So I do my best. And then location. So the questionnaire, as you see down on the bottom there, when registering, asks you coach requests, friend requests, and what middle school are you closest to. Again, I do my best, but it's not always perfect, because if we've got a team that can fit 12 people on its roster, like 8 and under, and we have 14 people from Vista Peak, well, the last 2 are going to go to the next closest team that registered by time of when they registered. That's just the way I have to do it. So they're going to have to travel a little bit further for practice, unless we have multiple teams in the same area. I take all that into consideration. Like I say, registering early helps your chances for request. But if you get with a new coach or new friends, that can be a good thing to hear a different voice, and maybe that coach has different strengths than the other coach. So that can be a positive thing. So do pay attention to the questionnaire when you're registering. Even if you're like, hey, Matt, can you sign me up? Then you might want to say, hey, I moved from Vista Peak to Southlands. So make sure that it says I'm closest to Foxridge Middle School now, not closest to Vista Peak. Because the questionnaire things auto-populate. So even if you had your last sport was baseball, it may say you wanted Coach Smith, but Coach Smith is not a soccer coach. It just confuses me. So just take a look or send me an email, and I can change it on my end if you can't change it. Gender is not a priority, just means that each team is going to have a different number of boys and girls. I don't look through it again, and there's no way I can spend enough time. Half the time I can't figure out if it's a boy or a girl from the name anyway. But there's no reason to come to a game and say, our team has 4 girls and that team is all boys. That's not fair. Not true. Some of the girls are much better than some of the boys. So it's just a matter of luck of the draw as far as that. As far as ability, as far as gender, that's why I say it's not a priority. Yes, some teams will have more boys or more girls. If you need to change team, it's difficult, especially if our age group is full. Right now, the only 2 age groups that aren't pretty much packed to the gills is 12U and 15U. So we can take more players, and those registrations are still open. The other ones, 4U, 6U, 8U, and 10U, are all full. The rosters are 99% full. There might be 1 or 2 spots open that I'm waiting on people on the wait list to pay. And there are wait lists in those age groups. So if you find out that you're on a team that doesn't work for you for the day of the practice, really the day of the practice, the location, please try to do your best with the location. If the day of the practice is an absolute no-go, then reach out to me. Maybe it just so happens that 2 people reach out and we can make an exact switch or something close to exact. Maybe a team will take 1 extra player over the roster max. But I don't want to promise that, and I don't want to promise the ability to move in 4U, 6U, 8U, or 10U right now. So give your coach a chance, give the day of the week, time, location a chance for practice. Try it for a week or 2, and then dust settles a little bit, and maybe there's some space to move if we need to. You can always reach out, but be prepared that anything can happen. All right, so here's some important dates. Practices begin as early as this coming Monday. So not all of the coaches, about 90% of the coaches have their rosters, and I know some of them have already reached out to their teams and given you the practice day and time, location. If you haven't heard yet, you're going to hear in the next, hopefully, 48 to 72 hours. I'm hoping everyone will reach out by at least Saturday so that I don't get a bunch of emails on Sunday. The other thing is, a lot of times coaches reach out and it goes to your spam folder, and you reach out to me and you say, I haven't heard from my coach. I reach out to the coach. The coach says, I did email everyone. Then we find out I was in your spam folder. It happens. Or sometimes we have the wrong email. If you want to add an email to what's on your account, because it's the email that's on your account is what's gone to the coach, send me an email and I'll forward it on to the coach. Otherwise, when you do email me on Sunday, if you email me on Sunday, I haven't heard from my coach, I'm literally going to CC the coach on there, and that way you'll be connected right away with the coach. And again, practices are, for the most part, once a week, especially for the younger age groups. Some coaches are generous with their time and offer a second practice. You need to talk with the coach about that. If that's too much for you, then you need to talk to the coach. But yeah, again, it should be 1 hour to 1.5 hour practices once a week, generally speaking. The game schedule, I hope to have out no later than the end of the first week of practices. If I can get it out sooner, I will. Again, all the games are Saturdays at the Aurora Sports Park, assuming we don't have any crazy weather like we did in the spring. Usually the fall weather is much better. We do use, as you see at the bottom, Friday nights or Sunday afternoons, or possibly, I think we even had some games on Monday afternoons at the sports park because we had a crazy spring. Right now, I will say the 15 and under age group has 5 teams. I'm working on trying to get a 6th team. If we do end up with 5 teams, there's a very good chance there will be some Friday night games so that we don't have somebody not playing at least once a week. You might play Friday, Saturday, or you might play Friday or Saturday. Or you could play both, I guess, but you will definitely have a game every weekend if you're in 15 and under. Labor Day weekend, we have off, so there's 2 weekends of games. We do have a week off. I would still recommend, that's a great way kind of to reset. So you play 2 games and you've got some good ideas of some things you want to work on. Obviously, there's still the holiday there, but I would still practice those 2 weeks if you can. And if people are in town, coaches, poll your parents, but take advantage of those 2 practices before the next game. You see, we'll have a picture day on September 14th, and the pictures are taken at the game fields. We'll talk about that more as we get up on that week. We'll have an Aurora night at the Colorado Rapids, which will be October 5th. I believe it's against Seattle. And if we don't have any rainouts, October 19th would be our final Saturday of games, but we do have built in October 26th and November 2nd if needed. And I've kind of already covered what's on the bottom there. All right. By the way, I should have said at the beginning, but we can also do this at the end. If you have any questions and you think you're going to forget your question, stop me, raise your hand, and I'll take the question now, or we can wait till the end as well. All right, so tonight, for the coaches that are here, we're going to give out the all-important jerseys. And what's just as important is getting to pick your favorite color, right? So you can be the Red Dragons or the blue Oxalotls, as one team was one time. You can be the Thunder Chickens. Yes, that was a team name. The Thunder Chickens was a team name. So all the coaches that are here are done with hopefully are done with their background check, custom certificate, and volunteer coach agreement. So we'll be giving those out tonight. And they'll also have some additional training that they can do if they want to get their 50% rebate at the end of the season. And the most important thing is about the sizes of the jerseys. So each pack of jerseys has 1 or maybe 2 more than what your roster has. And the most important thing is, like, the first day, not to be like, oh, you want number 10? Here you go. And it's not really the size for that kid. You need to have everybody there, at least a gauge of everyone's size, and literally line them up smallest to biggest and hand out the jerseys smallest to biggest. And that's pretty much, you got to try to make it work. We have extras because the 4U, 6U jerseys are the same style. So like if 6U has an extra, we can loan it to 4U or 4U to 6U, and vice versa for 8U, 10U, 12U. We can go up and down a little bit with the jerseys, but it doesn't always work out. And at the last resort, yes, I can order extras, but the shipping cost of a jersey is more than the jersey itself. So all the jerseys are here. We have extras. Let's try to make it work. It's very important that the coaches line them up by size, give them out by size versus, we know everyone wants number 7 and number 10 if you're big soccer people. All right, so there's this website, which you can then link to the soccer site or any of the youth sports sites, basketball, baseball. We're now going to have flag football back again as well. If you go to that site and then click on soccer, you'll see at the bottom the rules. I'll have the picture day and Rapids game info stuff up once we have more details. We have our sponsors, which is Play It Again, Sports off of Hamden and Coors, Orthodontics off of Hamden, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. And then again, the schedule website is different. It's teamsideline.com/Aurora. I, of course, will send that out in an email, and your coaches will also probably, reiterate that through email where your schedule is. There's also a team store on there, so you're going to get a jersey tonight. Whatever they wear for shorts and socks or pants and socks, whatever you want to wear is up to you. But if you want something more official with the Aurora logo, they have shorts, they have socks, they have goalkeeper jerseys, they have gloves, they have shin guards, balls, bags, jackets, whatever. It's up to you if you want to go crazy or not. So again, I wanted to thank our sponsors. They're both really right across the street from each other on Hamden. Those funds now are being used to help scholarships and also things like if you coached in the spring and you got one of those nice black coaches shirts, those funds are used for those things as well as like awards for coaches and other things that we do, awards for referees, and so on. So we're very happy to have those guys and hope that you guys will patronize their businesses. I wasn't able to get this Play It Again Sports discount sheet printed yet today because of the Wi-Fi issues, but I'm going to send it out via email. So I think it's a 10 or 15% off coupon that you can use for the fall season if you bring it in. Okay. The Spectator Code of Conduct. This used to be a sheet that we had all the coaches fill out, and when you register, you're actually checking a box. Again, if you register over the phone or you register with me, I'm checking that box, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't check any box." Well, that's why I'm saying this to you now. It's checked when registering. You're responsible for following the code. It's on the youth soccer website. It basically talks about things like not fighting, not cursing, not showing up with alcohol or any other substances, and things like that that make pretty common sense for youth sports. And they also talk about if you do that, please follow the code of conduct. If you have questions, go to the website, read it over. Inclement weather information. So for games, it'll usually be via email, and I'm hoping that we don't have any inclement weather this fall, but you never know. It goes. But for practices, unless an email is sent out to the coaches by myself to all the coaches, I live in Southeast. I can't determine what's going on in Northwest or Vista Peak. It's totally different weather usually for a thunderstorm, right? But if there is thunder and lightning within 10 miles of where you are, you can use the WeatherBug app. You should not be out on the field until it's clear of 10 miles. So yeah, please err on the side of caution. I can't imagine a whole team going to someone's funeral because you decided to practice in a thunderstorm. That's not worth it. So this happens near the end of the season. We asked parents and players to nominate a coach and referee of the season. So there were our spring winners, Coach Missy Liebold, who actually had done I want to say 14 years with us. And then Melissa Bonilla, who's one of our young referees who I believe just graduated high school. And she'll be back in the fall as well. Missy Liebold has retired from coaching, at least for now. So thank you to both of those guys, and I'll send out information about that as we get towards probably the second or third to last week of the season. So for coaching your team, if you're a new coach here tonight, you hopefully got an email from me a couple of days ago with a whole bunch of stuff, some websites, some books, a little thing of my notes from past seasons. And I can send that out to anybody else that didn't get it if they want it again. Or if you ever just want to ask me about drills or skills or whatever for your age group or a certain topic, I'm happy to help. If I can even come out one night, I will. And I will be dropping by practices here and there. That's why I say do not cancel a practice unless you have to. A parent can cover or ask me. And please email me if you're canceling or have a sub coach for a practice or game, just because again, I don't want to drive from Southeast to Vista Peak to see your practice and you've decided you're not practicing, or find out that, I don't know, whatever, something else is going on, right? So just keep me informed. I'm not trying to big brother anyone. I'm just trying to help and make sure that everybody's following up. And so another part of it is I don't want to get an email from a parent like halfway through the season, hey, our coach has practiced once so far this season. What's going on? You know, whatever. I want to be in the loop on things like that. Other helpful hints, make it fun. Again, limit lines, laps, and lectures. Always finish with some type of scrimmage. So lines just means if you've got 12 players on your team and you've got one line of 11 people shooting on one goalie, you've got 10 people not working and 2 people working. So why not take 2 cones and split them in half and make another goal, or whatever you can do that makes it so that people get more repetitions and there's less pinching each other in the line or whatever else goes on in the line, kicking people's ball away. You know. Laps, lines. So laps and lectures. So again, like if you're as old as I am, you grew up with coaches that when you got there, like take 2 laps. And okay, well, that's great, but what soccer skill is that teaching them? Yes, it's fitness, but at least have them dribble the ball if they're going to go do something like that, right? Or let them set up a drill. Or what I did, a lot of my practices is just put 2 cone goals, and okay, you guys are the first 2 here, you're playing 1 against 1. Now it's 2 against 1. Now it's 2 against 2. Now it's 3 against 3. Now everybody's here, now we'll start practice. And they're just playing the game, just playing a little bit versus running a lap. And lectures just means kids don't want to hear you talk for more than 30 seconds. If you sit them down and you give them lectures for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, after about a minute, they're watching the airplanes land at DIA. Everybody okay over here? Luna? Is everybody okay? Do you have something to say? Okay. All right. So that's Luna, one of my homeschool PE students that's playing in our league this year. And then the generous father who's coaching as well. Team names. So once you meet with your team, and a lot of times it helps to have your jersey because the kids like to make the team name a little bit about what color their team is. You get to choose your team name. So when you go and look on the team schedule at first, it's going to say, like my last name, Barlow, or Morales, or Diaz, whatever the coach's last name is. When you make your team name, the Red Dragons, it's just going to say Red Dragons and then in parentheses, Barlow. But I do want team names for all the teams because I think it's fun. And the kids like it. And like I said, make them fun but appropriate. We did have a team, 6U team, that was the Grave Diggers, which I thought was weird, but it was about the monster truck. So, and they had black and green, bright green jerseys, so I got it. Anyway, all right, so our rules are it's not the FIFA World Cup. It's not college soccer, it's recreational soccer, so our rules are tailored to that. For you, if you're new to it, hopefully you're not figuring this out for the first time if you're here to 4U, but it's run by the coaches. There's no referees. It's really not needed. Again, there's 6 maybe 7 players on a roster, and it's 3v3 with no goalkeepers. And a lot of times it's 2v1 with 2, picking daisies and chasing butterflies, or on the side because they're too shy, or lots of things. But again, it's just meant to be fun. So make it happen. If parents need to be out on the field holding a hand, fine. But we don't need to have, hopefully don't need to have every single kid have their, parent out there holding their hand, because then it's just kind of crowded. So respect the intent and spirit of our league-specific rules. We have things like, and this may come up on the next slide, but 5-goal rule. So if a team is up by 5 goals, either the losing team can add a player or the winning team takes a player off, and it kind of continues until it balances out. Sometimes it takes a couple of players on and off for it to balance out. We have things like no heading until 10U. We do not have offside until also 10U, so there's no offside in 8U or 6U or 4U, which I think is also going to be on the next slide. And the rules, again, are on our website. And safety is paramount, so we'll talk about no slide tackling, just talked about the heading. How to deal with coaches, parents, or supervisors if issues arrive. I think we kind of addressed that already as well, but come to me or come to an adult and let's talk about things. I've gotten things in comments postseason like, my coach didn't play my kid very much. I'll never play again or whatever. And it's like, did you address this with the coach during the season? And if you did, and it didn't change, did you come to me and address it during the season so I can address it with the coach? Because I'd really like to try to help you. I don't want your kid to have a bad experience. And maybe there's reasons. Maybe the kid is asking to come out of the game. Maybe the kid's doesn't have good attendance at practice, and you're not telling them why you're missing practice. So there's lots of things that can be discussed. So let's have open dialogue. And if you can't solve the problem, come to me. Next slide. Oh, equal time is required for all players, asterisk. So again, it's all about first teaching your kid to be committed to the team. You've signed up for a team sport. I get it. There's family events, there's school, there's other things, but you've signed up for a team. The team needs you to be at practice because, one, they want you to learn what they're learning, but also team to practice with two people or whatever it is. And it's no fun for the coach to set up a whole practice, show up, and there's only 5 people when there's 15 people on a roster. It's not fair to them and their time. Now, you can communicate to them that Jill didn't finish her homework and unfortunately she's gonna have to miss practice. At least you're telling them in advance so they can prepare for that. But if you are a no-show, no call to practice, I expect them to play your child, but I do not expect equal playing time. So be communicative and be committed to your team as best you can, even when things are tough. As far as, our team has lost all 5 games, we don't want to play anymore. Really? What kind of lesson is that? Let's just stick it out and try to get better. If you want to win a game, let's practice on our own. Let's mom and dad get out there and practice with your child on a non-practice day. Let's have the coaches give them homework to do on a non-practice day. Only head coaches are permitted to converse with officials and must do so in a calm and professional manner. Honestly, I might take that out of a future slide, but we don't really need to be conversing with the officials. I mean, if there's a major problem, come and see me if you need to. If you have a question, of course you can ask a question. But arguing calls is just, there's no place for it in what we're trying to do. There are going to be mistakes. Some referees may admit to it, some may not. But if you've ever played in or watched any sports game at all, surely you've seen a call that you disagreed with. And that happens every game, everywhere. And of course it's going to happen in our league. We have a lot of teenage referees who are refereeing, for the first time or for the second or third season. And they're out there doing their best, just like everybody else. And if they were your kid, I'm sure you wouldn't want them yelled at while they're out there reffing and trying their best. Same thing with spectators, players, so forth, and the referee. And again, bringing the concerns to I'll just go down to the last one, which is we don't use yellow and red cards, but that doesn't mean that myself, Marlinda, the referee, or the coaches of their own team can say, it's too much, you've done too many fouls, or you've slide tackled 3 times in a row, you're coming out for a timeout, and the referee can say, it's for the rest of the quarter, it's for the rest of the half, it's for the rest of the game, you've been ejected from the game, leave the field, to the coach, to the parent, to whoever. The game can be stopped by myself, by Marlinda, by the referee if it needs to be. We rarely have had that happen. But I'm just letting you know, a very little tolerance for abusive referees or staff. Because we're out there to have fun. Game lengths vary from ages. For you, obviously, you being the longest, 15 years. Only reason we do a little bit more opportunity to coach in between the quarters and a little bit more break. Obviously, in August and even September, it's going to be very hot some days. So that's why part of the reason we do those quarters. Standings, again, is only 10U and older. 5-goal rule I mentioned earlier. It's in our official rules as well. Heading is also in the official rules. Only 10U and older can do heading, and even 10U, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time practicing heading. But if there's players that are comfortable heading in a game and they choose to, they are allowed. If you head an 8U or under intentionally, it's supposed to be a direct free kick for the other team, or an indirect or directed, whatever. Offside again, I mentioned already. The build out line in 8U only, so that just means that when the goalie has the ball or a goal kick is being taken, that there's a dotted line where the other team must retreat to. That's an 8U only. Very few teams in 6U and 4U know how to set up a wall, but because in 6U it's 4-on-4, we had a team that set up a wall of 4 people right in front of the goal, which blocks the entire goal. We made a rule that 2 is the maximum number you can have in a wall at 6U if you are so inclined to be coaching your kids to set up walls in 6U, which has no goalies. Again, not keeping score either. So I wouldn't focus too much time on defensive walls in those age groups, but we do have a rule that 2 is the maximum number for a wall for 6U and 4U. For 8U and up, you can have any number of people in a wall. So there's one of our referees, or former referees. I'm not sure if she's coming back this season, Jayla. And again, just talking about that, says, I will be 50% right on every call. Think about that. So of course, you know, half the one team is going to disagree, and one team is going to be like, good call, ref. So that's the way it goes with refs. We just want to make sure that our refs feel supported. And again, they're trying their best. We do a training prior to every season. Some of the refs are USSF certified, some are not. The ones that are not mostly are ones that have played in our league through 15U or even are playing in 15U, and have a pretty good understanding of the game, but again, will make mistakes. And you're welcome to tell me what the mistake was, and I will gladly coach them on it. You will see me at and on the fields in between quarters talking to referees about things they did well and things they can improve on, and I usually send about an email about once a week with a list of things of coaches approach me and say, hey, can you talk to the referees about whatever it is? And there's lots of variations in subjectivity to refereeing. For things like throw-ins and 8 and under, you could call an illegal throw-in almost every throw-in. The referees try to correct it. Sometimes the referees will give a second chance, especially early in the season. And sometimes the referees will give the ball to the other team. You just have to be prepared to do what the referee asks. And we're always recruiting referees, so you can email me if you know anyone. It has to be at least 14, and pick up at least a yellow jersey and a whistle, and hopefully a watch as well, because it's not looking so good when you're pulling your cell phone out to keep time. Uniforms. So participants are required to wear the jersey provided by Aurora Sports. No other jersey may be worn over the jersey. So I guess it's not really a problem except for maybe when we get into October. You can wear sweatshirts, you can wear jackets, but try to put them under the jersey if you can. Because when you have a black jacket and you're the red team and then you're playing against the black team, it doesn't work to wear the jacket over top for obvious reasons. But I get it. When it's cold, it's tough. But again, you can wear long pants, you can wear gloves, you can wear wool hats. Just try to wear the jersey over whatever you're wearing. Honestly, it's better to wear 2 or 3 like long sleeve shirts than a jacket, but whatever you need to do. And then again, shorts, socks, you can pretty much do whatever you need to. Shin guards under their socks. This comes up a lot. Either kids aren't comfortable with this shin guards under their socks, or they think it looks better, or maybe they think that's how it's supposed to be. But it is a rule of the game that shin guards go under the socks. So we'll have some that are out there not like that, and we'll try to get them corrected for the next week or whatever. Not necessarily going to say somebody can't play, but it is also a little bit of a safety concern because obviously you have hard plastic over the sock. It can be a little bit more dangerous. And then we've already talked about long pants, long sleeves, religious head coverings, medical bracelets, all those types of things can be worn, but jewelry cannot be worn. So that's different than a medical bracelet or perhaps a religious necklace or something like that. The main thing here is usually earrings, and hey, we just got her earrings pierced or his earrings pierced, and he can't take them out. I don't know what the situation with that is. I've never had an ear pierce, but just either don't do it during the season or be prepared to pay consequences, I guess is the only thing I can say. Yeah, it's the safety thing, the back of the earrings and so forth, or even a finger getting caught in a bigger earring can cause a major issue, and we just want to avoid that. Same with watches, necklaces, and so forth. They're choking hazards, they're possible cutting hazards, and so forth. And covering with tape is generally not permitted. So parents, help your coaches. Be on time with drop-off and pickup. I think that was in the notes that I sent out to the new coaches, but you should not be waiting with someone else's child by yourself. Try to have another adult stay with you. But also parents, again, we don't want to have a child waiting for 20, 30 or more minutes or whatever and not wondering where you are. That's bordering on neglect, and we don't want to have to go down that road. Communicate, we already talked about. Help your coach by saying when you can and can't be at certain things. Help your coach if you want that's fine. If you're not going to assist, then sit on the side and cheer only. Teach commitment and teamwork. We've talked about that. If you're the coach or parent of the strongest player on the team, tell them that's a chance to be a leader and make those other players better. Commitment, we've already talked about again, is basically just making sure that people are at practices and games and on time as well. So if the game's at 11 and you're showing up at 11, I know as I'm the coach, I'm super stressed. Where are all my players? I told them to be here at 10:30. Figure it out. I know it's hard when you're wrangling all these guys together, right, to get them into a game at whatever time, but back it up in your mind and set a little alarm 30 minutes early for yourself. Be respectful and care, just like the flyer says. As far as dealing with injuries, along the lines of injuries, I've also had a lot of experience with that, unfortunately. But the reason I have it up there is this. There are definitely times where in soccer you're going to have your foot stepped on, your shin kicked, the ball kicked into your stomach or ball kicked into your face. Those are no fun, and potentially can be an injury. But in reality, it's not an injury. It's an ouchie, so to speak, right? And so after a quick cry, a little break on the side, they'll be able to go back in. We don't need parents rushing onto the field for that. The referees will take care of it. The coaches can take care of it, hopefully. But certainly, if we do have a serious ankle, a serious knee, a broken bone, which hopefully doesn't happen, but can, we are also prepared for that as well. We have AEDs. I am a CPR. Most of our staff are CPR certified. We will call 911 if we need to, and all those types of things. So rest easy about that, but just understand that there's going to be some times where players go down, but some are serious and some are not, and we will take care of your child as best we can. Volunteer to help with the all-important snack list, right? So if your coach reaches out and you can email right back and say, hey, I want to be the team dad, and I will coordinate the snack list, the all-important snack list, that would be much appreciated to take that off the coach's plate and handle things like that for them. And then be a parent, not a coach, unless asked. So I've touched on this a couple times too. You're at practice or when you're at the game, let the kids make decisions. Let the kids play the game. Let the coach them on that, and you cheer. If you're telling them, pass it, shoot it, do this. First of all, 100 people are yelling, and the kid's not hearing it anyway. But if they are hearing your voice, you're making the decision for them. You don't show up at a music recital or a math test and say, carry the 2, and bless this note. You don't do that because they're learning how to do it. And if they make mistakes, it's okay. That's part of the game, part of life. All right, I think we're just about done. So let's do question and answers. We did it in 45 minutes or a little less. Raise your hand if you have a question. Yes. Yes, so he asked about schedules. So there's 2 different schedules. You're going to have a practice schedule, which is, again, most of the time once a week, and then you're going to get a game schedule. The game schedule will be out in a little over a week. And the first game is August 17th, which is a little over 2 weeks away. But you can be sure that you're going to have a game on August 17th, sometime between probably 8:30 or 9 and start time of 2 or 3, somewhere in that time frame. I can tell you in my head, I mapped these out in my head. For you, we'll go the two or 3 earliest time slots. 6U the same. 8U will, because it has so many teams, will be pretty much all day, and you'll have a mix of times. 10U will be morning, 12U will come after, and 15U will probably be midday or afternoon as well. So to some extent, that's what the schedule will look like, but I have to map it all out in more detail, obviously, and look at referees and coaches that are coaching 2 teams and other things like that. It's a pretty complicated puzzle. Other questions? Another one that comes up sometime is cleats. Just make sure that you don't need cleats. You can wear sneakers if you prefer, but just try to make sure that you have soccer cleats. If you go into a store and your kid points to this pair and he wants that pair, but it's a football cleat or a baseball cleat, please try to figure that out and don't buy those. For the reason is they have different cleats underneath that aren't really safe for soccer. So make sure that you have a soccer cleat and good shin guards, decent shin guards. Question? How long are they? How old are you? 7. So for 8 and under, I believe if a coach can verify this with me, is it 10-minute quarters? 4 10-minute quarters. Yeah, sometimes I get it mixed in my head too. There's 8, 4, 10, 12, and 15-minute quarters, depending on your age group. So your game is 40 minutes of playing time, but it'll take about an hour because there'll be halftime and warm up and some other stuff, okay? So not as long as a professional game, which is 90 minutes, but we're not professionals yet. Okay, we have a question. Will a share of the flyer you passed out in person to those in attendance virtually? I'm not sure which flyer you're referring to, but yes, we handed out some things here, and everything that I handed out, plus the coupon for Play It Again Sports, will be sent out via email. So yes, everybody, not just attending virtually, but everybody who signed up for the program that has an email that works, there's a couple bounce back every now and then, we'll get the information that was sent out. Any other questions? Let me ask Todd that. So the question is there medical insurance through the league? No. So it would be onto your own insurance if something did happen. Any final questions? Yes? So yes, so 8U and 10U have enough coaches for all the players that we have signed up. If you are on a wait list, that's different. I did send a couple emails, hey, we're looking for a coach, and then maybe didn't send it back, hey, we found a coach. So you might, maybe that's why, I might have slipped through the cracks on my part. But yes, 10U has, I believe, 8 coaches. We had actually 9 coaches, but we had to compress a little bit because of the number of players. And then 8U has 14 coaches, and even a couple that were willing to assist as well. I don't have a goalkeeping clinic plan, but we can talk about that. Yeah. I got you. Right. So as the kids go from 6U to 8U, they start to play goalkeepers, and it can be very confusing for them about what to do with the ball once they get it, and some other things about the penalty area and the goal area and some other things. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up again. I will look and see when we can fit that in. If you send me an email and I have time to come to your practice and do that, I will. I'm happy to help whenever I can. But it's fine. Let me know and I'll try to help. Last chance for a question. All right, so let me just talk quickly. If you are a parent, not a coach, and you feel like you are ready to leave, you may leave. If you're a coach, stick around so I can explain what's going to happen next with the equipment.